From America's beautiful coastal beaches to the hilltops of mountains far reaching, or even the gorgeous look of red rock in the desert, to a nice, vibrant day in a buzzing major metropolitan city, Americans are talking, and well, they're working too. And no matter which way a state votes, we're all still Americans in this large country of 300 million people. So here today to bring you America's perspectives are Matt Curran, David Polson, Gabriela Escudero, and Michelle Beretta on Coast to Coast Conversations.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Coast to Coast Conversations with Michelle and I today. I haven't been in the last couple of weeks, holidays, scheduling, we're mixing things up. But if you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe and put your questions below. We're monitoring the chat on our YouTube channel. And if you're on your YouTube channel, we can even put your comments up live on the show and discuss them as we go about things. All right, well, today we're just kind of doing a 2024 year in review and talking about the upcoming 2025 and some of our biggest clips that we've had from just our little reels we've had from the various shows from this Coast to Coast Conversation show, and then just sort of having commentary on it. So we'll start with the first one. It was one of our more viral, I guess you'd say, on YouTube, which is the El Paso politics thing that we had. We had a guest on the Matt Curran show with Enrique talking about the border and a congressional district. So we'll go ahead and play that.
That seat has become a hot seat that almost every single election cycle it flips. Someone else wins it. Sometimes a Republican, sometimes a Democrat. So that seat, no one has been able to hold it for more than one cycle in the last 12 years. It's been a hot seat.
It's weird watching two of me on screen there.
Yeah, you got to fill me in, Matt. Tell me a little bit about who Enrique was and a little bit of what you guys talked about in El Paso. What's going on?
So Enrique, he lives in El Paso, very engaged in the El Paso politics. We're discussing sort of the border area for El Paso, the El Paso economy. El Paso, when we talked to Enrique, El Paso has the highest county tax in the state of Texas. They are going bankrupt. There's a congresswoman out there who is constantly being reelected. And the congresswoman out there, she, although it's like a super blue district, this is Beto O'Rourke's old district. For those of you who remember Beto O'Rourke, he ran for president, then ran for governor, lost in Texas, sort of became like a lightning rod for the Democrats in 2020? Did he run for president? Yeah, I think it was.
Was it 2020? Yeah, during the big panel. Yeah, it was, because that's when they had the big diocese of people that were all
hell yeah, we're gonna take your AR-15 or whatever the thing is. So
yes.
So he leaves. This other lady comes in, Victoria, and she's slowly bleeding blue, but not at a significant enough rate in that congressional seat to where they're going to lose it anytime soon. But they're making progress there. And this clip, obviously these clips are meant to be catchy. We were actually talking about the New Mexico side because it's right there on New Mexico. So that southern New Mexico district, because a lot of folks, whether it's you're in Juarez or you're in what's the town of New Mexico? It's like right there. There's like a little La Cruz. There's La Cruz, New Mexico.
Sure.
La Cruz and El Paso. They're kind of like one triad little city or whatever you want to call them. So it's I forgot the nickname, but it's like 3 states, 1 community or something like that. So we're talking a little bit about New Mexico politics in this clip.
How do they differ? Let me interrupt. How do they differ in policies then? It's this 3 states, one idea. Are they all? Do they lean left? Do they lean right? Is it an amalgamation of them both?
So that's the interesting thing. So the La Cruces area for this district we were talking about it flips Republican, it flips Democrat. It's very purple. Okay.
Sure.
And so, because it covers a lot of eastern and western New Mexico, rural New Mexico, which is conservative. And then, so that's purple. El Paso, obviously very blue, but in a very red state. And so the state does it kind of looks at El Paso as a like redheaded stepchild. Like they don't really engage a whole lot with El Paso, right? Like the congressional district for El Paso is like a little circle, and then the next district out covers like all the way down to Corpus Christi, Texas. Like it's so big, so they're just kind of left alone. And then the people in Juarez, Mexico, they got complications where they live there, they commute to the United States to work, and then they come back, like the legal citizens.
Yeah.
We didn't get into the politics of what their beliefs are. I would imagine they would like free trade so they can continue to work in the United States and get the benefits of working in the United States. But that was just a very interesting episode.
Yeah,
I
no,
highly
we
recommend
have
everyone go check it out.
in Wisconsin, we've got something. I mean, not in being a border state, but also being a border state between Wisconsin and Minnesota up north near the Twin Cities. We have the don't Minnesota our Wisconsin
Mhm.
slogan for a reason, because some of their policies, and we all know from Tim Walz
I
and his policies how you don't want sometimes things coming across.
I even remember when living up in Wisconsin, I had friends in Minnesota and North Dakota that would tell me that Minnesota would give tax breaks to North Dakotans that because Fargo's right on the border.
Mhm.
If they would live in Minnesota and commute, and they could prove that they worked in North Dakota, they would give them like a tax break, which to me is crazy that they're just picking winners and losers. Like, why can't they give a tax break to people working in Wisconsin?
Yeah, but you can't help it with Tim Walz at head of the wheel there.
All right. Here we'll do one of yours here,
Oh.
Michelle. On
Who is actually starting a business right now and who has that sort of capital gain to be able to start that business even at the $50,000 mark? It costs quite a bit. And then on top of that, all of the overhead costs with the inflation, and you talk about the energy. So if you're writing out that business plan, how do you account for the future increases that are coming?
Oh, that brings me back.
Mhm.
Good old Kamala, given the breaks for starting a new business. I just, I'm very thankful that the election in November turned out the way it did. We were sitting at a place where the next 4 years could right on a precipice. I'm excited for the next 4 years, and I'm really excited that the small businesses that can flourish over the next couple of years coming up. I know we're going to talk about the year 2025, but truly with the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, if we don't hurry up and fix that, those could be at risk still. And really, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, that's definitely the most exciting thing for me in 2025 is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, strengthening that. And that's, that this clip you were talking about, it's the worrisome leading into the election if you're a business owner. Okay. I mean, think about it. From 2012, it was 4 years of Obama, 4 years of Trump, 4 years of Biden. Are we gonna get 4 more years of Trump? Like, and then 4 more years of who else? Like, it's not like a longevity of the 8-year flips that we were having of 8 years Clinton, 8 years Bush, 8 years. So it's less stable for businesses. But here's the kicker. I think we didn't really discuss it in that show. If you can get it back constitutionally where Congress can regulate things and put it into laws and not rely on presidential bureaucracies to have policies flip with regulations constantly, then it creates more stability in businesses. Then these businesses don't have to be worried like you were discussing in the clip.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
I
that's
mean,
another reason why it went viral.
yeah, you talk about that red pen that gives that certain people in power have. We're gonna come up later about the naughty and nice list, and I know all too personally about what a veto pen can do to a budget and or as a property tax, as a property owner in Wisconsin. So I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about that. But we'll see it coming up too.
That's right. All right, we'll do another one here with Tim
One more.
Walz.
I want to see what else.
No, rule number one, being a running mate. Do not hurt your running mate.
Sarah Palin obviously hurt John McCain. I don't think Paul Ryan hurt Mitt Romney. I don't even think Joe Biden hurt Barack Obama a lot. This is another example of how Tim Walz is already dragging down the ticket. Man, I didn't realize how so right I was at the time. That's the best thing about going back. So Tim Walz dragged down that ticket so badly, it's not even funny. And that's so true. Paul Ryan didn't drag down Mitt Romney. Joe Biden did not drag down Barack Obama. I remember, here in Winston-Salem, where I am at, back in 2012, coming to see Joe Biden on the campaign stump right after Scott Walker had won his recall election. It was like the day of, and I had some Packer gear. I actually put the Packer gear on and, just to kind of go taunt him a little bit. And that was actually the same day. And then right after that, I had called Rush Limbaugh. I made Rush Limbaugh's program and just talking to him about it. But when I was there, Joe Biden, that was the place, I believe, if I remember correctly, he might have been, actually, I take this back. He said it multiple times in rallies, but I think it had gone viral by this time. But he repeated it again at this rally. He said, "We're going to put y'all back in chains," or Mitt Romney's going to put y'all back in chains. And that comment did not hurt him as badly as some of the stuff Tim Walz has done. Obviously the Sarah Palin interview with ABC hurt her because she didn't know she was talking about. Couldn't remember what newspaper article she wanted to do. John Edwards with John Kerry didn't hurt him.
I think truly though, I think they've grown accustomed to the Bidenisms of Joe Biden. He's said that for years since he was a senator. But I totally agree with that. Walz drug down the ticket. They tried to get the middle independent, the middle ground folks with a Midwestern valued person, and although I don't truly think that he has those values in mind. I mean, you look at the different as you were talking about the taxes for the tax cuts for the Dakotans, but more so of like their energy, for example. Their costs are super, super high. The way that they feel about abortion and the way he has allowed abortion up until the 9th month, including birth. He's just an all-around bad guy. Not to mention, for me personally, the way he carries himself when hunting. We had talked about it way back then. I was as a firearms instructor. There's a proper way to walk through the field when you're pheasant hunting, and if you can't carry a firearm safely when you're amongst people, then I can't trust that you can take care of our country. And I'm really glad that it worked out for us, because JD Vance, come on. I mean, when you think of the blue collar, hardworking American, he just embodies that, built from nothing. And I think we got the better valued person.
You get the better valued person, but I definitely agree with that. But I also think JD Vance is just a normie. Like, you look at him, he talks like an average dude. Like, yeah, he's very well spoken or whatever, but he's not out there doing jazz. Like, it just feels so forced with Tim Walz. Like, I go back to playing Madden with AOC as a dude. You say your coach Walz, and somehow, this is the same party that basically doesn't like the NFL, doesn't like football. They don't like college football. They want to change the Redskin name, and then they nominate a coach from football, but then he can't actually be on a field trying to show. Like, they would not let him campaign on a football field. They would not let him do any of that stuff. So then they put him in a virtual thing. It's just, the whole thing's weird. The left creates all these weird rules because that they box themselves in. So they picked a non-normal person, and I think that hurt him. And I think the last VP candidate before Walz was probably Sarah Palin. That hurt somebody. But it's that whole clip made me just think back to different races. I love analyzing races and tickets. I'm very politically data minded. But here we go. We'll go to the next clip. We'll keep moving here. Wow, we're already 15 minutes in. Here we go. All right, right to life.
How beautiful it is that there are babies, but they need us, right? I mean, my babies needed me. They're not just born and then they take care of themselves, right? You need to take care of the babies. And so think about it. You know, we talk about the right to the pursuit of happiness. But what about the right to life, right? How come we don't focus in on that? I would sit there and watch these videos of debates and just be like, why are we having these fights? Then I started realizing, like, people are caring more for animals than babies.
So this is when Gabriella came on my show. We talked about the right to life stuff, and I think that last part of the clip there, that people care more about animals than babies, and I think that's totally true when you look at society. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been to cities around the country or at hotels, and there are people pushing strollers with poodles in it. And look, I don't hate animals. I'm not against animals. But you have to understand the value of a human is more than an animal. Okay? Like,
Yes.
care for animals, but humans are worth more than animals.
It's
It's just basic.
basic, 100%. Right. Absolutely. Everybody deserves a chance at living. You know, it breaks my heart this week that we had to witness, you know, the subway tragedy that happened earlier this week with the woman that was set ablaze, you know,
Mhm.
and the police officers walked by, and the regular people didn't stop to help. And when we become a society that is so callous against helping one another,
Mhm.
it breaks my heart from beginning to end, you know, where it just it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. And then, you know, we had talked about with Waltz, for example, and his position and allowing up until the point of birth. Where do we as a society, when can we come back together?
Mhm.
Right?
I think that's a good question, but it's a social contract of moral values is how you come back together. And I think the left ultimately over time has divided those moral values and manufactured arguments that or manufactured issues. Like, for example, I like the one I like to use that's the most divisive one is probably the kneeling for the flag. And this is why. Okay, so does a person have a right to kneel for the flag? Sure, a person has a right to kneel for the flag. Libertarianism, right? Freedom of speech. You can do what you want. But if the NFL tells a player that they can't kneel for the flag, that somehow that on a field that they own, their entertainment space, somehow they're the bad guy and there's a freedom of speech. So it creates this whole narrative of crap of all these rights and what you can't do, blah, blah, and just stacks. And then you've got 15 different opinions and no one's united, all because a basic understanding in this country was you stand for the flag, you put your heart on your chest, or you put your hand on your heart, whatever, and you're saying the national anthem, and that's at least one thing we can codify around saying the national anthem, Pledge of Allegiance, and yet the left divided it into 15 different opinions. And it's just constant issues like that. Are you a boy? Are you a girl? Transgender? Like, just making up crap along the way. So we need to get back to a moral structure, social fabric in which there are basic understandings in which we all agree. And I think fundamentals of human life is one of those social fabrics that need to be understood. And I don't know how we get there. Obviously, we pray about it all the time, but it's hard to do those things in politics because politics is just upstream from culture. You got to change the culture first.
Yes.
But on to the
Yes.
next thing.
Very, very, very much so.
All right, strong women comment from Mark Cuban here.
This made me so angry today. When I saw this, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. How dare you be so misogynistic? And yet you complain to us that our men are misogynistic. I mean, you think Kaylee McEnany, I'm not big into sports balls, but you know what? I did look up who Mark Cuban sold his team to at the Mavericks, and I believe it was the Medal of Freedom owner, Miss Miriam Adelson herself, who was the Medal of Freedom honor from Trump. So, I mean, you look at Tulsi Gabbard, you look at, I had talked about Kaylee. there are so many strong women, Ivanka, so many strong women that surround him at all times, that I truly believe he had said I saw in one of his rallies that he wants to protect women. I believe that. I do believe in my heart that he wants to protect women.
Still believe it.
Mhm.
Still believe it. Still to this day, 10 toes down. Cuban was a dunce for saying what he said, and Trump 100% will protect us women. I believe it. You know, and I mean, you look at now that he's been elected and he starts with his cabinet, you know, he's got all sorts of women in there that just, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for his administration.
I just want to comment that we need to get our dress code together. It was the week of the dumpster truck, and
I
I'm wearing
know.
a suit with my tie, and you're wearing dumpster truck thing. So our dress, our wardrobe was totally off that day for good reasons. I looked good, you looked good, but
That was Halloween. That was right around Halloween. It was, you know, when we had the week of garbage bag fashion, if everybody remembers that. And, you know, it was here in Wisconsin that it took part in, and they got the garbage trucks together. And it was a good time. The week before, he was at McDonald's, you know, where 2 weeks before, because if you remember that whole media cycle, he pulled that out for at least 2-3 weeks before the garbage truck.
yeah, about 3 weeks before, and then the garbage truck was like the weekend or the Thursday or Friday prior to the election. It was like
yeah, it was Halloween. It was the day. It was like the week before Halloween, because I said, "There's my costume. I got it."
Yeah, it must have happened like that Wednesday, or because the day before the show. But to go to the clip too, even further in the details, what you're saying, Mark Cuban doesn't realize how much of a tool he is to the left, because if he hasn't learned by now that the left, they just basically asked him, and he was clearly doing it, throwing baloney at the wall to see what could stick, to get Trump right before an election. Those words will come back to haunt him, whether he wants to continue to be a donor, whether he wants to run for something else, or he wants to appear on television, whether that's a Sean Hannity show or not. He bounces around on conservative media, liberal media. It's going to come back. It's going to come back to haunt him, just like these comments from Joe Biden from the crime bill in the 1990s has come back to haunt him. The left will ask you to do stuff to put your reputation on the line on things you don't believe or things you may not necessarily agree with, and then they come back to haunt you rather than just sticking to your own moral principles. And that goes back to moral principles and truth. And I don't actually believe Mark Cuban could actually believe that John Trump does not surround himself with
I
strong
think for a
women.
moment in time he did. I think deep
Think so?
down, you know, I do, because you still hear some of the things that those on the left, Joy Reid and the ladies on The View, for example, you know, they're still looking for reasons to blame everybody else, but their own accountability on their own policies. That it wasn't their policies that we voted against. It was the women that were, you know, being told by their men to vote for him, or it was, you know, Trump not, he's a misogynist, you know, they're still blaming, they're still trying to find excuses and blaming us for it. And you see it, you see the shift, I think, from the left coming over to the right, because there's still, I think the wool is being taken, you know, off of their eyes, and you see it in the Harris campaign still owes money. You know, the people that worked for her campaign are still, who worked for free for all of those months, are still waiting to get their paycheck. And yet she blew
Wow.
through what, $1 billion,
$1 billion, yeah.
and still came in debt and owed people money.
And lost. That is so bad.
Yeah.
That just shows. Look, this is the second time Trump's won, where Hillary outspent Trump 8-1, outstaffed him by like 5-1 or something crazy. I was listening to a thing earlier today, and he still won. Why? Because Donald Trump is laser focused in on creating the most maximum value for every dollar spent with his own money. So that's how he ran the government the last 4 years he was president. He's going to continue to do the same thing the next 4 years. He wants to maximize the dollars and maximize efficiency. That's what private sector do, is maximize productivity. Okay.
Yeah.
Government bureaucracies and these leaders like Hillary Clinton, like Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they don't know how to maximize the dollar.
You had mentioned the cost of the campaign, and we brought up, we talked about the $1 billion campaign. So we have a very, very big election coming up again in Wisconsin right away in the spring on April 1st for our state Supreme Court. And the way it's looking is that this could be one of, if not the most expensive state Supreme Court races in history. So it's something to watch and to pay attention to, because we are right on the balance of losing. Right now, it's a liberal court, and one of the liberal judges are. Say again.
Is it 4-3?
Yes.
So if you
win, and they're
it flips.
Yeah, we could. Well, it'll be balanced out then. It would be 4-4, basically balanced out. I believe. Hang on. No.
I was like, wow, okay, that's very.
Yeah, it would be balanced out. Yes, it would be 4-3. Sorry. Jeez, Louise.
Wisconsin is a battleground. I'm going to go in the weeds here, because something I found out about as I was listening to other media, and I researched it, and it's correct. The worst case scenario from this election would have been if Trump won the Sun Belt, lost Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Here's why. He would have lost by one electoral vote. Well, the Biden administration census and the previous Trump census manager mentioned that the census was done incorrectly. It was rushed. COVID didn't allow accurate count. That they accidentally, right, undercounted conservative places like a Texas, a Mississippi, Louisiana, right? All these conservative states that these Republican states should really have upwards around 3 to 4, maybe even 5 extra electoral votes, congressional seats, that if they do the census correctly in 2030, which I think they will, it'll again have to come down to who's the president at that time after 2028. You could be looking at a locked, it's a lean right presidency, because people are continuing to move to these Republican places. And sure, Wisconsin will be a swing state, but it won't be as pivotal, right? Great, Texas gained 4 more electoral votes, and if Trump and the Republicans just continue to win North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, which already kind of tilt their way, we don't really need the Midwest. Now, I still think they should continue to play for the Midwest and try to win it, right?
But think about it though. So if you think about Wisconsin, if we think about it locally, and we think about future of the 2030, in the future, we've got Governor Evers. So after state Supreme Court, Governor Evers is then up for re-election the following year. And it might be end of next year. I got to think of it. But again, with the gerrymandering of redistricting of all the new maps too. So we just got the new maps. And the influx of people that are coming in from other parts of, the world, they're coming in, and our population is growing. So I'm I still think that we will be that battleground state, depending on how our next governorship goes, right? So it could be if we can get a conservative governor in the seat, then I wouldn't say that we would be as high priority on the list, but
see, Wisconsin to me, data wise, is the purpliest of all purple states. Like, you vote for 10, like there are the Baldwin Trump voters out there.
Yes.
Like somebody goes out and they're gonna vote. Independents are so fascinating to me, like how they split their photo, and sometimes I get it. Okay, like Mark Robinson down here was not an ideal candidate. He was a turnoff. He lost. He only got 40% of the vote, and we are a I'd say tilt red state, right? But he lost in a massive beatdown, and yet then we vote for Trump by 3 points. So it's sometimes I get it, but Tammy Baldwin, who doesn't even talk, like when I lived there in Wisconsin, I didn't even hear her anywhere. But one time, I saw a newspaper ad that she visited some manufacturing thing in Beloit, and it was very hush hush, and that was it. She didn't want media attention. So
That was her whole campaign trying to be too, unless, she was going to hobnob with her beer friends. But it for donors. But yeah, she, out of her entire 25 years of her being in government, I believe it was 7 bills, 5 of which were post office namings. So I mean, she's really getting her done there.
Some of these people, and look, you can't. I don't believe term limits fixes this. This could be a debate for another show, because have you seen the congresswoman out of Texas was found to be she has been found to be living in a nursing home, and she's a Republican out of Fort Worth, and so they basically she hasn't been showing up for votes. She runs a powerful committee. She's on appropriations. I mean, this is appropriating government spending in the federal government, and the family's been basically hiding this. Now, you can blame the family, or you can blame the voters for just not engaging and not voting, right? But here's who I actually blame. You want to know not necessarily people, but a system in our campaign finance laws. Here's why. I would not want to run against her. Like, if I lived in the district, and even if I knew this, why? People are going to fund her so hard. It's hard to campaign as a challenger. It's hard to fundraise as a challenger. The campaign finance laws need to be fundamentally changed, because the system creates people like Tammy Baldwin's, like this congresswoman out of Fort Worth, like a Dianne Feinstein of California, who is wheelchair in to go, like stuff like that. The system is Pelosi. It is not necessarily the voters' fault, because they are being disserved by the system. So we need to have a serious campaign finance conversation in this country. The Republicans have a big agenda and small margins to get things done. That I don't know if we'll even have time to get campaign finance done. I don't know if Trump cares enough to get it done. But I do think if you want to fix this kind of problem, term limits is not the solution. That's another thing for another show, because I can tell you how term limits is not going to fix it. Because we need to get to the next clip here, which, speaking of Trump, is about deporting illegals here. I'll go ahead and play the next one up now.
Do I believe he's going to end birthright citizenship? I don't think so. What's really going to happen is there's going to be a mass deportation in Chicago, New York, the cities that are really like filled with people who are receiving benefits and who really, they're not seeing benefit from them to be here, and criminals. But people who have been pouring into the country, been here for years, I think those people have a little bit of wiggle room to be able to figure out what's going to happen to them.
I think Gabriella's right with this one, and I wasn't on that episode, obviously, but Trump's not going to have this mass deportation that FDR had with the Japanese or whatever, and it was ruled unconstitutional years later. I do think, the priorities is going to be criminals first, obviously, like basic populism thing. The idea of deporting families, look, we have to keep families together. I don't think we should separate families unless we actually know that they're not families and these kids were brought over here from human trafficking. Then we need to figure out two things. We need to figure out, do their family members in like El Salvador or wherever, do they know that they're missing? Can we locate them? Can we verify that they're the actual parents and that they didn't just put them up for this? Because sometimes their parents, it's horrible, they sell them.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if the case is that they do sell them, then I would like to be able to, as a country, we just need to keep them and and I believe in the goodness of the heart of the American people to figure that out through charity, not government. Government can work with charities to get these kids into the right home. You want to know how I know that? Is because when we have Hurricane Helene here, and Joe Biden and the Kamala Harris administration is not sending funding and is sending FEMA door to door and missing doors because they have a Trump sign. And the people here in North Carolina are sending their own money, and they're coming out here on their own accord to help these people. That's how I know the American people would take care of these children. And the government just needs to get out the way and allow people to be able to take these children easily, like speed line adoptions, whatever. But anyway, I'm getting in the weeds just on that because
No, you're not. I'm totally there. No, Matt, I'm right there with you 100% because, as I don't know if you know this or not, but conservatives are the biggest donators to private funding to help charitable organizations.
I believe it.
So we out donate to charitable organizations more so than the left are. But when it comes to taking care of our own, we 100%, I agree with you. We should always take care of the children. It's just it's a sad thing. And I do absolutely, if you commit a crime here in the United States and you are here illegally, you 100% should be deported, no questions asked. And if you are caught coming back again, I don't know what other stiffer penalties we can give you, but it needs to start happening. Maybe we, start putting, I hate to use the word, I don't want to use a tariff, but you get, the country has to pay for it, the country of origin, start hitting the pocketbooks of those countries where these people continuously cross the border from. I don't know.
No. I mean, yeah, there's got to be some sort of penalty. Obviously, I think I'm in the bucket of most Americans. I've thought about it. Just something needs to happen. It's not necessarily my forte. So yeah, like the Remain in Mexico City policy, I'm going to tariff you until you do this. Okay, now the tariffs are off. And so now, like, put that back in place. They got a more socialist president down there. Trump may have to put tariffs on them temporarily just to get what he wants. In fact, well, I'll say that for another time. But yeah, leverage the United States has to leverage its power to stop all this to happen. We are the superpower of the world, and yet we can't stop people bringing in. That's just embarrassing. And that's actually a good setup for this next clip on cleaning up Baton Rouge.
Oh, these people are coming here from other cities. They're being bused here on a one-way bus ticket on tour buses, and they drop these people off. They're coming from Mexico, they're coming from Texas, and they just drop these people off. And it's not fair. I think they're getting rid of people in their jails because their jails are so full because they're letting so many people in that they're just letting these people just go wherever.
So this is somebody who, Baton Rouge is one of the dirtiest cities in the United States, trash everywhere. And she has a thing called Keep Tiger Town Beautiful. They go out and she gets volunteers to go just pick up trash and donate materials. And it's an everyday thing. And they get donations all the time.
I love that.
Yeah. And technically what they do is illegal. But the city does not because they're, they put their own trash cans out on like sidewalks, on drive areas. They let homeless people everywhere, but the city won't sue them or do anything because they know it would be a losing cause. And Baton Rouge actually just got its first Republican mayor and is going to be working with Keep Tiger Town Beautiful down there. So that's going to be a very good win-win because they want to clean up the town. Okay. So this clip was not necessarily talking about
I love how you guys are working together to clean up the town and do something positive, whereas you've got Milwaukee mayor spending taxpayer dollars on trucks that are covered in road cones to curb reckless driving that breaks down a month and a half after being created. Make it make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And every city has its own vibe. Baton Rouge's vibe is this. There's not really much middle class there. Either you're super bougie or you're kind of, I'd say, dirt poor. It's very sad. But they're the bougie people that, and the one side of the class, they really care about the city, that they're actually thinking about splitting it up into St. George and creating their own city because they live on one side. And so, but they care about the city. They're very engaged in the local community. They just feel like a minority. They get outvoted all the time, and they finally turn out enough people to vote in a Republican mayor, president this last election. So they're willing to fight for their community, and that's a good thing. You want people willing to fight for that. They're willing to donate their time, money, effort, everything beyond what government is supposed to be doing. That you pay your taxpayers dollars to do, picking up garbage. But this is extra bad. This clip. She was not talking about illegal immigrants, right? You have people coming from Mexico, other places, from Dallas, other parts of the city. They're emptying their prisons. They put them on an Amtrak bus, and they let them off on Government Street in Baton Rouge, and then they have a big homeless problem because the police there are not allowed to clean it up. And so they kind of stay on one side of the city, but then they wander in, they throw their trash everywhere. There's needles everywhere. I have personally volunteered for her. I don't live in Baton Rouge anymore, but when I did live there, I volunteered. I have disassembled many homeless camps. I found IDs of girls who I've come to find out were on, missing lists or whatever, from like Texas, which is right next to Louisiana. You find all sorts of disgusting things there. And so the fact that she takes the time to go out and clean it up, and that these other cities are just basically emptying their jails, okay, and then they're just sending them to Baton Rouge, it's like a mini border crisis within the United States border crisis.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's insane. That's so sad. But at least there's people there. I mean, we talk to your point earlier about how people are going to be there to take care of it. You know, we need to care about one another. I mean, we need to. It's where you live. It's where you, and if it's not there, you know, sorry, go ahead. Keep going. Let's go to our next one.
Before I go to the next one, I'll just say local government matters more. And this is an example of that. All right. We got 2 more. We got 3 more. I'm willing to keep going here.
Let's go.
Democracy, and we keep hearing this word. But when we understand that people didn't vote for her, but they voted for Joe Biden, and they just took that's not a democracy, right? So it's crazy when you see that. That's scary, because it's like, what else can they manipulate? What else can they just change?
This is Gabriel talking about the Joe Biden Kamala Harris flip. At the time, it was super scary. Now we look back at it, we say, oh, that was dumb, you know?
I mean, I think really, truly, I mean, either way, I don't think Biden had a chance. I don't think Miss Harris had a chance either. So but more so to the point of how quick they were to remove the idea of democracy when it suited their agenda. You know, they point the fingers all the time that, you know, oh, they're a threat to democracy. You're a threat to democracy. But when it's faced right there in front of you, you're like, well, hang on a second. We'll just put her in, to the chagrin of anybody else.
No questions asked. And still he's still the president of the United States. And I think it's fascinating that they're torching Trump on this spending deal. I'm like, where is the current president?
You know? Where is he? Where he is? So I mean, we've been saying that since prior to the election too.
No, but yeah, we don't. He is always and has been a part-time president. Like, this is his legacy, and we could probably talk about
Basement Biden.
We'll talk about that in the 2025, like his legacy. But we're a little past time here, so we'll go to the next one here. We'll go to the next 2. Matt and Javen discuss.
I think America should have a footprint there, not a physical footprint, but have a footprint in overseas affairs. Because if we're not going to do it, Russia and China will. And if they're that big of a threat, that both sides are saying they are, we need to be there.
So I agree. I'm just giving you the overview of what Americans think. Like, they get this sense that, hey, I understand we have a debt problem. Part of it's because we're spending it over there and we're not spending it here in the United States. Maybe if you invested it here in the United States, it would get better. That's not my personal opinion. That's just America's sense overall.
Yeah. And maybe that's the fault of our elected officials.
Yeah, so I totally still agree with that. That's America's sense overall. Like, and they've just gotten bitter from all these wars, and then there's still no goal. Like, if you're gonna do a war, goal, boom, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Boom, we understand the goal, and if it drags on, then we get pissed. So I nobody really understands the goal with these wars, like
right. And then the overspending, the spending of it all over and over. You mentioned Hurricane Helene. You guys got $750, while on the same day he, you know, allowed another billion or millions to go to Ukraine.
That's right. Well, we got our final clip. This one should be a good one. It's from one of our guest hosts from a few weeks ago.
that is just such an ongoing debate, is what role does the U.S. play in global security? Are we the world's policemen, or is that just expending too much human life, too many tax dollars? We're coming off of so much controversy with, how much we're funding Ukraine and what's continuing to happen with Israel. I think if the average layperson didn't really follow politics that much, or just who wasn't super into it, heard that we were being dragged into another war, they'd be like, are you serious? This is what I'm paying for. This is what we need to be focusing on right now. And I can sympathize with that. I think we have some issues here at home. And also, can I answer your question with a question? What resources do we derive from that exact part of the world? What resources do we derive from Syria that we would have an invested interest in keeping troops there?
Yeah.
Or putting troops there?
Yeah, so these clips kind of go together, Michelle.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was a good segue with that. That was right, with the Syria thing happening and Ukraine. It's a scary world. I don't think we should be heading over any place soon though. But I think what was it another 50 billion was given, or 50 million was given to Ukraine 2 or 3 days ago, Biden did. I don't quote me on the numbers, y'all. But it was 2 or 3 days ago, right before Christmas.
Yeah, Burisma needs a big payment there. No, but I agree with Elizabeth, because that's exactly what I was saying the last clip was like, and those are two different snapshots in time. Like, that's Elizabeth commenting on the Syria thing. That's me commenting like way earlier in the year. America gets the sense of like, why are we doing this? Like, going around the country just for my job in general. Like, okay, America top line basic, they understand we don't want to spend more money. Like, we need to stop the debt. But if you drill down to like, okay, what do you want to cut? That's when things get hot. Like, some people don't want national parks cut. Some people do. A majority of Americans say stop funding other countries, stop giving it to different wars like that. But that's like a majority of Americans. That's a basic starting point. And Biden just keeps adding fuel to the fire by doing this.
Yeah, he's gonna spend his way out of the house.
All right. Well, that's our clips for the 2024 review. Now, it's not really a rant and rave. We're doing naughty list and nice list of the year.
Oh, I hope Michael's listening still. He was one of our fellas that watched last week that commented a bunch, and if he's on, I want to hear his naughty and nice list. So if not, hopefully he'll comment later on. So if he's not here, I know a lot of people are busy with the holidays right now.
All right, we'll put the naughty and nice list. All right, give us your.
Let's go back and forth. So I will start with my number one naughty list, and then we'll just go back and forth. Number one, of course, is Harris and Biden and their administration. So they are number one on my naughty list, from the Inflation Reduction Act to the PRO Act to the EV mandates to the campaign budget that they blew. The list goes on and on, but for them, they are number one on my naughty list this year.
That's I have mine not as Biden Harris. I have mine as Biden and Democrats. Why? Because okay, if you were in 2008, I'd say, even though I disagree with their policies, I would have put the Democrats in 2008 on the nice list. Like, they re-energized hope and change in 2008. People were feeling good about them, right? Barack Obama's coming onto the scene. This year, like, what did they have to offer that was like a nice list item? More abortions, more spending. This is all naughty stuff. And then the switcheroo with Biden and Kamala Harris and the spending overseas. It's naughty. No, Joe.
Naughty.
There
naughty.
you go. Speaking of Sarah Palin. All right. Give us your next naughty.
We'll let you go the next one and all.
So my naughty list, I give it to Bill Belichick. He left the Patriots. He had a chance to sort of come back. He couldn't sign in again with another team. No team wanted him in the offseason. So then I guess he does what any, sane person would not do, is not go get a 24-year-old girlfriend and then go sign to be UNC's Tar Heels head coach. Like, he's so naughty because he should not be doing these things if he wants to have an NFL career. He wants to beat Dan Shula's all-time win record.
So like
Who-
he's having a midlife crisis, and instead of the Corvette, he got the half-aged girlfriend and
his
move?
girlfriend making bad career decisions. Like, he's not going to do well at UNC Chapel Hill. I don't know why he signed this deal, and to what he's mentioned multiple times he wants to beat Dan Shula's record. He's like 75, 76. No, now's the time to sign with an NFL team, get like 4 or 5 wins under your belt, beat the record, even if it's a horrible year. But no one's gonna sign you as an NFL coach at 80. I mean, I know we elect presidents at 78, but like NFL coaches are different, man. You got to be like this.
Right.
So he's naughty.
Right.
He's naughty.
Yes.
What about you? What's yours?
My second one was Nancy Pelosi.
Oh,
So we've got Pelosi and her insider trading, the things that she, not only was she, I believe that she's in inside trading. That's just my opinion. Opinions only, though. I have no facts or anything like that to back it up. Only websites built and apps are built, around her trading so that you can also trade yours to kind of find out. Have you heard about that with the Pelosi app that somebody
Yes.
created? So,
It's smart.
but also the insider presidential trading that she did behind closed doors when, she told the American public that Joe Biden is the greatest president ever. But we all know behind closed doors, she was the one that was pushing the old man out the door.
Do you think she's also naughty just because her Botox just makes her look naughty? Like, she looks
Sometimes, I mean, that maybe it's the morning martinis,
like wide eyes, man, when she's talking to you like this. I'm like, dude, they're about to pop out your face. I mean, she's got
I hope she's got a
so much-
speedy recovery, though. I did hear that she fell and broke a hip last week, so I don't wish ill will upon anybody. But
Botox that too, and it'll be fine.
you
Botox the hip.
she's-
Make it look
she can afford it.
good. Yeah. No, yeah, and she was overseas vacationing, so I hope she does well. And
Yeah.
maybe their hospitals are better than ours over there. I don't know. All right.
All right, who's on your list?
My next one, I put P. Diddy and all of Hollywood. Like,
Oh,
honestly, that should have been just number one, but
Holly Weird.
Holly Weird. Even LeBron James is supposedly on the list, and LeBron James, took time off to play basketball for no reason at all, no injury. So you're starting to heat up and get suspicious. I have a feeling these
Jay-Z.
will be on the naughty list in 2025. So I kept them number 3 because there's still time, unfortunately, for this to build.
I would have to agree with that 100%. And I noticed. Did you see Kim Kardashian's new Santa baby
No.
video? I'll have to send it to you after this. She's trying. I mean, I'm no Kim K, but when somebody is addicted to being relevant, it's quite the cry to continue to be relevant. Like people haven't been talking about her recently, and I see this as one of those. It's just the symbolism. It's so dark. Ugh. You need a shower after watching it.
Let me
You
guess.
just feel
She
gross.
wears like a low cut shirt and a bikini, and it's like super inappropriate.
Sure.
I'm just taking
sure.
a wild guess based on previous Hollywood.
That's parts of it. We'll talk about that later. But also, I mean, you look at like Jay-Z, for example. Jay-Z's caught up in it too, and Beyonce just did the halftime show in Houston over the weekend.
This is why the NFL needs to go to country singers for halftime shows. I've been saying it for years. They never do. I'm like, stop with all the pop stuff. Let's bring out Jelly Roll. I mean, I'm not like the biggest fan. Luke Combs for a halftime show, dude. Why? Okay, I'm gonna go. This is a rant and rave in the middle of the naughty list. Why does the NFL not do a Super Bowl in Nashville? That is the perfect place to do it. It
would be an awesome place.
That would be an awesome place to do it.
Amazing place.
NFL.
I would love that.
2020.
I would probably go to a sports balls game.
Sports game, yeah. All right. I only got 3. I only did 3 and 3. 3. So
I have one. Yeah. Okay. Who's your last naughty? Oh, that's right. My last naughty list.
Your last naughty one.
I went personal. Tony Evers, Governor Tony Evers here won because he vetoed the middle class tax cuts that would have given me some much needed relief, which also helped for the $4.6 billion surplus we have right now. I would like that back, please, Mr. Evers.
Yeah,
Also, for the 400-year property tax increase that he wrote in with his little red veto pen. So we had talked about that earlier in the show here. He earlier this year took his red pen, line item vetoed, and gave us a 400-year property tax increase.
Who does 400 years?
400 years. So he's on the naughty list. He should have been probably second under the Harris if we were going national to state. If we were going personal, I would put him top of list for Wisconsin.
I've heard of like 100 years of like, the Hong Kong exchange, 400. I'm like, geez, we haven't even been a country for 400 years. He just wants his name
I know.
relevant again in 400 years. When this has to be voted on, they'll be like, and Evers of 2024, find this like in like a time.
Well, within like the next 20, if you do the math on it, within the next 20 years, we are going to be as taxpayers on the hook for about $5 billion annually.
Damn.
To help or to fund in funding. It's just it's amazing, and hopefully we can stop it.
All right, let's do our nice list.
Yeah, let's end it on the nice list.
All right,
Start us off because I went first last time.
So I added one basically football one on each side. I didn't realize this till just now, but nice list is Patrick Mahomes, and here's why. I don't like Patrick Mahomes, but I would put him on the nice list. He won his Super Bowl, his second Super Bowl earlier this year. He's changed the game to where everyone thinks that the NFL script is now revolving around him, and it kind of does. Okay, but he's doing phenomenal this year. He's on his way to winning his third Super Bowl. If he wins his third Super Bowl, he'll be on the nice list next year. Okay, and he's a very clean cut, straight up guy. Personality is great. I mean, he also likes Donald Trump, so that helps. Like, he's outspoken about it, and that's good. And if he wins, he'll be the first team and first player ever to win 3 Super Bowls in a row, which has never been done before. So that's why I have him at the top of my nice list.
In a row, too?
Well, I take the in a row part back because I think there was a player who won 2 at the Cowboys in a row and then got traded to the Niners and then won 1. But no team has won 3 in a row. Like, the closest was Tom Brady, where he won 3 in 4 years.
Right.
And in between that was the Buccaneers way back in the early 2000s. But I take back the player one. But 3 in a row for the same team, I know that's never happened before.
That'll be cool. Then you could have him like all across the rings, across his knuckle, all the same. That'd be really cool.
Be all the same. And he'll be
like
catching up Tom Brady to be the GOAT.
Love it. So mine, top of list, nice list would be Elon Musk. He's Elon Musk. He's my man. I love him so much. I respect that man. I mean, not just for what he did, during the election, but really more so for some of the innovative things that he's brought, buying X and turning it into the actual the media hype that it is, the where everybody goes. I mean, it's amazing. But really more so for his innovations in space, Starlink, and being able to now safely return rockets back to their landing pads, and I'm excited.
He got those astronauts back from space.
He rescued the astronauts.
He got Starlink for Helene over. I mean, he basically is president, even when he's not with the president-elect. I mean, he was doing presidenting things. NASA, helping hurricane victims. I mean, everything that Joe Biden should be doing. Yeah. Well, I mean, to his benefit, he doesn't have to go through the red tape and the regulation, right? Like, they're learning their lessons. He tried to get Starlink in and they turned him down, and now they had to come back for him.
he offered to help with these rescues of the astronauts early on, and they shunned him. But when they realized they couldn't do it, sometimes when you get, I mean, it just makes it, if once you get the government out of the way, it'll let true innovation and happen, right?
Mhm. No, I agree. Free market. All right, who is next on your nice list here?
Mine would be Trump. Trump,
Okay.
of course, because while he is a sassy fella, I do think with him twice assassination attempts, him getting winning the presidential election, the hope that he brings for people of truly bringing us back to the America we know and love so much.
Okay. That's a good answer.
You?
Mine. So I didn't put Trump on either one. Not that I don't think he deserves either one, but the year was encompassed by Trump's oxygen in a good way. So I put Glenn
Depending
Young.
on whose air you're breathing, I could say that, yeah, you're right. He did do a lot of that air. Yes. I like that, the way you frame that.
Yeah. So, but I did put Glenn Youngkin on the nice list because. So I know a lot of people, they don't like the idea of put your party above yourself, right? Obviously, put country over party, but Glenn Youngkin put country over party. He's put party over himself, but more importantly, he's kept his powder dry, and he's worked with every Republican. He worked with Ron DeSantis on governor initiatives like with the Hurricane Helene thing over here, because it hit him a little bit too. And he worked with Trump in the campaign, but more importantly, he's kept his powder dry and been just nothing but a positive force for the party. Even though he came out one seat short in each chamber last year's midterm elections, he is still accomplishing a lot of stuff, still a good voice, and a good 2028 prospect that, although he only has a year left in policy making, he has a bright future ahead of him because he made the right decision, not primary anybody, and just keep your powder dry. So
Awesome. And kind of funny that you said that with uh I went my last one similar to with Tony Evers, going personal stateside for me. Nice list, Tom Tiffany. Senator Tiffany he's an amazing fella that is doing so many good things for Wisconsin. From him trying to get, I was at the Apostle Islands on the register. Uh, Also, he was one of the few that did not vote for the budget bill last week. So he took a good foundation of that. The first one was not what we needed as a country, and he put his feet down, and he was, I don't think many said no, but he was one of the few that said absolutely not on that first go round, and I can respect that as somebody, as an individual.
nice list for the citizens of Wisconsin by not spending more of your money and
Correct.
fighting a naughty Evers for vetoing sending you money. Mine is kind of similar in one way like Evers, but on the opposite end. I will say Mayor Eric Adams of New York City. This year has been very complicated for Mayor Adams, and I'm gonna, for those, yeah, yes, he's a Democrat, but he ran as a moderate Democrat when he got elected. He won. And he got on Joe Biden's naughty list early on because he was hooting and hollering about these migrants coming from Texas, my community, the crime's up. I want to do stop and frisk. Then next thing you know, Joe Biden is not wanting to speak to Eric Adams. Joe Biden's not wanting, and he's just sitting there putting it through and through. Now, obviously, him being a Democrat, he and from New York City, he can't come out and fully say, we're going to stop doing X for the migrants, right? Like, he has to walk some of the party line, but he's hooting and hollering still. The moment Trump wins the election, the next day he cuts off all programs for illegal aliens in the city of New York. He's willing to work with Donald Trump. Like, he has been starving to do these things, and so he's on the nice list because, yes, he's a Democrat, and you do have to walk some sort of party line. There is a coalition built there. Like, if he went Republican, he would lose, and some people go, well, stick to lose with honor. Well, he wants to fix problems, so he's trying to play the political win to fix a problem in New York City, which is crime and illegal immigrants. So he played it out, and I think over the next year, he's going to be able to fix these problems. And so I look forward to seeing him on the nice list next year. I think he will be on the nice list next year, but I say the nice list this year because he maneuvered the political tailwinds and bucked his party the way it should be bucked in order to get to where he is today. I know it's a little long-winded answer there, but
It's a good one. I wouldn't put him on that one yet, but maybe
Okay.
next year we'll see.
we'll see. All
No,
right,
see,
you
no,
already
see,
told us.
yeah, I told you. No, see, I wouldn't have put last year. I wouldn't have put myself. I wouldn't have guessed that I would be a Tulsi Gabbard fan. I wouldn't have put myself as an RFK Jr. fan. But as I progress and start looking at other folks' policies that aren't party aligned, I'm loving it. I'm excited to, like I said earlier, I'm excited for the next 4 years because it's truly a bipartisan year. Everybody's crisscrossing, and I don't see many people jumping ship and leaving to go to the Democrats, though.
Well, do you want to talk about 2025? First of all, we're at the hour. Do you want to end now? I'm fine with
Yeah,
keeping going.
well, yeah, well, let's do a quick 2025. Like, let's see where are we going for 2025? Let's wrap it up with what do we see in 2025, and then call her.
For 2025, I think it'll be interesting. So you mentioned like these Tulsi Gabbard, RFK. I'm not even still completely sold on them. I'm sold on certain aspects of what made them popular, but I'm not sold on them being fully Republican. The social issues. I'm a big social conservative, so social issues are concerning to me. This is where the coalition of social conservatives build. I don't see us migrating to another party. Like we're not going to be embraced by the Democrat Party, right? Kind of like how
No.
we were able to buck some of that. So to me, it's how are Tulsi, RFK, this new breed of crop going to be socially aligned for the party? How is it going to continue to make up the party? Because that is a big voter base around the country. Pennsylvania is a very socially conservative state. So, how do you keep these coalitions together, right? While also they want to maintain what they believe in is true. Like, well, I do see them conforming more than us conforming, like our side conforming, our little coalition in the group conforming to them. But there will be conforming involved, and so I hope we don't cave as much as they have to cave to our beliefs.
Right. I agree.
What about you? Just off the top.
I'm looking forward to like reining in some of the over regulation of our food industry. I am that's what something that like RFK is Make America Healthy Again, right? I'm looking forward to some of those. Hopefully we can, try and get our kids on a better path of health when it comes to the different childhood diseases that we have. We are an obese society. We have diabetes is on the rise. The things like that, and getting to the root causes of that, I think, should be a focus, and I'm excited for that portion of it. And getting a healthier America.
And that'll be interesting in how it challenges a lot of libertarianism beliefs for those, whether they're libertarians on the left or libertarians on the right. And it will probably end up aligning more with old school liberals and conservatives sort of coalescing to beat the libertarian. What I mean by that is, okay, let's just say the United States determines that X product is poisonous, can't be in the food, and the FDA, and RFK wants to make we're putting a restriction on. It's not going to go through Congress. Congress doesn't vote on it. Is that going to be celebrated as a good thing? I'm probably going to balk at the process. Like, I wish Congress would vote on it. But like the libertarians who loved RFK, are they gonna just balk at the process like me, or are they gonna turn their nose to the party? It'll be interesting to see all the dynamics play out, because there's gonna be 15 different opinions to Sunday about how it'll all work out. Because it's not we're in the honeymoon period now, but then once decisions start getting made, it's like it's all about process, rights, what are we setting up for the future as far as a precedent?
Well, that brings up, yeah, and that brings up like a good point about regulation. Like, who regulates it then? And how do you regulate? Do you regulate it on the manufacturing end? Do you regulate it at the congressional end? My husband and I got into a discussion about LED headlights because I had watched a news article about in the UK they regulate the high beam. They regulate those LED lights because as you age, your eyes need more light, more incoming light in order to be able to see. And these LED lights that are the headlights of the future are causing a distraction and are causing accidents and things like that. So I'm like, but we already have car regulations. I don't want more regulations, but at the same time, those LEDs like to mess with my eyes. So,
and see, this is where it's funny because I think conservatives understand this more than liberals do, and if liberals do, they take advantage of it. Like just our Constitution in general. I don't know where y'all landed on the post office thing, but like our Constitution is not libertarian in nature. It's not conservative in nature. It's liberal. It's a little bit of all of them, actually. Like the post office,
it is
a liberal idea, and it works. But too much liberalism, and I'm talking more purely economics in one sense. Too much liberalism destroys, too much conservatism destroys, too much libertarianism destroys the country. Because like libertarianism, well, I have a Second Amendment right. I don't need police. It's like, okay, well, you need something, for domestic abuse. So they got the extremes, but it's called the Postal Service. It's going to serve us. It makes the economy run. So, and Congress has the right to regulate commerce. So it's constantly the debate and the process in it, which is what I love about the United States and trying to do these checks and balances. Like you're talking about the LED light thing. That's interesting. I don't know where I would land on it because I haven't researched it enough, but I think that's just going to be an ongoing debate, like with this RFK stuff.
Yeah, I know. And you said moderation is key. Yes, moderation is key, just like everything in life.
All right, well, we'll do one last quick thing here, which is for our program, where do you think we will be at this time next year for whether it's our network or the show, Coast to Coast Conversations?
Well, I am going to say it. I feel like I've said excited way too much in the last hour and 15 minutes that I'm just excited because 2025, 2024, for me, like 2024 sucked for us. I think it was a lot. It was a big push. It was like drinking from a fire hose. I felt at times. So I'm really excited to go into 2025 with a clean slate, with plans for future progress, for being able to take our little thing and grow it. Invite others on. So if you guys want to come on and discuss about the different issues that are going on in your neck of the woods, because we are Coast to Coast Network. So we would love for everybody from across the country to join us. So I'm excited to expand us and see us grow and start talking about more conversations that are important to you.
No, I agree too. Like I like that we're doing this a little bit differently, organically. Like if we wanted to, we could pay money and get as many followers and blah 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 and subscribers. But I don't know how engaged it would be because they just click something and they follow, right? Like I like that it's organic, friends, family sharing it. We enjoy doing it. It's not like it's a big chore, and you're getting people who are engaged. Whether it's I've met people just getting my oil changed and they'll subscribe right there, like, oh, this is cool, oh wow, and that, on our YouTube channel. I like that kind of engagement rather than just trying to pump, get a bunch of followers and subscribers that may not engage. So I know that the people here that do subscribe and follow, that they're engaged and that they care about it. Like, we want to get followers and subscribers too. We have to promote it a certain way, but I think organic growth is the key, and so that's where I see. I think we can get 100 subscribers on YouTube, 1,000 on X by this time next year. We'll need your help.
I think that's doable. I think we could do that. I think our fans could do that. Tell your friends. Tell your folks I says hi. Hey.
Heidi, Heidi, ho. Ho, ho, ho.
Well,
All right.
that's it. I think for me, that's it for 2024, Matt.
That's it. And then so we'll do one next week, which will be, what is next week? Oh, the day after New Year's. Oh my gosh. It's coming back.
Yes. Second, this January 2nd already. So by the time I see you guys next week, we're gonna be in the next year already.
The next year, and we'll be off and running with new speaker, possibly conversations next week. That'll be interesting. More spending. Trump coming in with only a couple weeks left to go, and I'm sure we'll have more parties.
Oh, Matt! Guess what?
What?
New Year's Day. Guess what New Year's Day is? Stay tuned for that because the polar plunge. So January 1st, we've got our polar plunge in Nush in Delafield, Wisconsin. We always go to Panga and jump in Delafield. So
You're gonna record that?
always, every year.
Put
So
it on the channel.
we will. It should be fun.
Be fun. And I gotta get up there at some point and do a polar plunge when we get time to plan it out.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the 2025 year to come.
Woo!
All right, y'all have a good one.
Bye.